Good morning. Welcome to the Closers Cafe. It's a Friday morning, November 7th, and I'm going to do a couple of things a little different this morning. I want to share something that I think will help you if you are a real estate agent or honestly any kind of sales to help you sell more of your thing, in our case, to sell more homes without actually selling. I've kind of been calling it anti-selling. I don't know if that's the name that I'll kind of land on and run with. And it's not revolutionary or shocking or trend setting. It's certainly not AI based or anything like that. And yet I just have an overwhelming amount of evidence that it will help you actually make more sales without actually selling, without actually, trying to convince someone or manipulate someone to make a decision. And I'm going to share my perspective on this, and I'm going to share some specific examples as well that hopefully will help you make some connections. I'm also going to share why I feel like, or in my experience, why this is prevalent in our industry, specifically the real estate sales industry. It contributes to why we have such a negative reputation. I think we're right up there with car salesmen and I don't know, attorneys and lawyers, that kind of stuff. And then what you can do about it, what to do about it, and how you can actually use what I'm going to share to get more clients, to sell more homes, and ultimately increase your gross commission income in this profession. That'll be kind of the mindset stuff that I want to share. And then I'm going to, time permitting, also spend some time comping a property. It's kind of difficult to comp. And for those of you, maybe I would guess at some point in this business, you've had someone that had a property that they wanted to sell or they were thinking about selling, and it was just kind of difficult to comp. I need to do it anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do it live here. If you could do me a big favor, hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel, turn on the notifications so you don't miss these. Going to be a shorter live today. I'm going to wrap up around 9:20, 9:30 Eastern, and I want to get right into it. So here's what to do if you want to sell more homes and do so with less resistance using a concept that I call anti-selling. And let me tee this up with an example that I've shared a couple of times this week. I just went under contract as the buyer's agent representing a real estate investor here in Central PA. I did not know him before. I met him October 3rd. Did not know him before October 3rd. We looked at a 2-unit in my market on October 3rd. A property that allegedly was a good deal. And I hadn't seen it in person. Okay. I hadn't personally seen it in person. But I wanted to meet him there, and we checked it out together. And the more we went through it, the more, even though I didn't know him, I was making the case as to why he shouldn't buy this 2-unit at any price. And this all happened in 15, 20, 30 minutes times to tops. I don't even think it was 30 minutes. It was 15, 20 minutes. He started to open up about his experience as an investor, the properties, the deals he's worked with, etc., the deals he's completed, what he's working on now. And in that, he shared that he had bought some properties using a real estate agent that I could tell he didn't really like, because this person, and I don't even know who it is. I didn't really care to know his name, was pushing every property. Every property they would look at, the agent would try to sell him the deal. And it came off like commission breath or desperation, etc. And because I took the opposite, the anti-selling approach, and was adamant that he shouldn't buy this property, I earned his trust. So that when I reached out to him last week about a bank-owned property that I thought was potentially a good deal with reasons, it had been on the market for a couple of weeks, it had gone under contract and came back on the market, they had had a price reduction, etc. And I had a good idea of what the ideal exit strategy is, etc. We went and looked at the property last Thursday. We went through, and I could tell he was interested. The gears were turning, etc. And I thought he wanted to make an offer. So he's running numbers in his head. He's on his phone. He's doing calculations, etc. And he tells me his number that he wanted to offer. And I said, hey, Seth, why don't we do this? Why don't you sleep on it? Run your numbers a little bit more just to make sure that you're right. And I'll text you in the morning if you want to get the offer submitted. So I text him in the morning and we submit the offer. He said, yeah, I'm good. That's a number that'll work for me. Let's go ahead and get it submitted. So I submitted the offer. It was a bank-owned property. So we submitted it online through an offer portal. And we had to resubmit it early this week, but it got accepted. The offer got accepted. Okay. That's good news. We're closing in a couple of weeks. At no point did I sell him. At no point did I try and push him to make a decision. All I did was provide information, facts that could help him make the best, most informed decision for himself. That's all I did. I didn't sell him anything. I just provided him with facts. Notice I'm using the word facts, not opinions. Many of you get in trouble when you have potential clients that ask you a question and you provide your opinion. Do you think this property is going to have multiple offers? Do you think it's going to sell for over asking price? Do you think that they would accept this, that, or the other thing? When you share your opinions, you open yourself up for ridicule and problems. But when you provide facts, data, and examples, you're more likely to help the client or potential client make the best, most informed decision for themselves. Let me give you another example. This happened last night. I have another client. His name is Steve. I didn't know him. I think our first conversation was July 30th. July 30th. He responded to a text message. It's one of the 3, there's actually 4, in the document that I've been teasing pretty regularly, which if you want a copy of the document, the Google Doc that has all of the text and email scripts and templates that have been working incredibly well for me right now to generate me more conversations, right? This show is about more conversations so we can write more contracts and ultimately close more deals. Those scripts, if you want a copy, you can DM me or you can text me at 717-571-0456. 717-571-0456. He replied to one of those text scripts. Would you consider selling street address to a private client of mine, first name? So would you consider selling your property at street address to a private client of mine, first name? You want to make it even better when you send it this time of year? Would you consider selling your property at street address to a private client of mine before the end of the year, first name, question mark. So he replied to that. He actually picked up the phone and called me. And over the next few days and weeks, I demonstrated to him what made me different than the typical real estate salesperson. I earned his trust by providing him with data and feedback, different reports and information. And when I get into comping, I'll actually show you some of how I did that on the live stream here. But I did that over, I earned his trust over a few days and weeks, to the point where he gave me the opportunity to sell a vacant building lot, which we settled on last week. He gave me the opportunity to help him sell a 2-unit that he hadn't signed any paperwork, but he pretty much told another agent that he would give her the listing, and he decided to go with me instead, because of how I demonstrated my value and expertise, etc. In fact, one of the things that helped with that, I've got another document that I put together as a follow-up to our mastermind on Wednesday that has an example that I sent Steve, this client, and 4 others, a Loom video with a proposal. So that was something that I used to establish my expertise and demonstrate my expertise with him. Anyway, Steve, in August, September, October, and early November. So in less than, let's say, in 3 months' time, I have closed the buildable lot that he gave me. We're settling on the 2-unit next Thursday. He's referred me another client that I'm working with him. There's some zoning issues on a parcel that we're working through. And last night, he texted me about a property that he is looking to purchase with some of the proceeds on the properties that I am or have helped him. Well, one is closed out completely, and the other one soon. So he texted me about this property. Within minutes, here's what I did. Simple, but I'm telling you, the simple stuff done consistently will help you sell more homes without actually having to be good at sales, without having to be overcome objections and use reverse psychology and use what's the word? What's that fancy selling technique? Oh my goodness. It'll come to me. You don't have to use any of this fancy stuff. You just have to provide good service and help people make the best, most informed decision. So he asked me about this property. I said, give me a couple of minutes and I'll email you whatever I can find on it. And I emailed him over. Here's what I emailed him over. The full MLS sheet, not a big deal. I emailed him over all the associated docs in the MLS sheet. A lot of consumers, they don't know how to find that stuff. And that stuff is important to him. And then I pulled data that you couldn't find in either of those things. I used PropStream, but I could have done it from my own, from the local tax or county assessor. There's lots of ways I could have done that. And I just emailed him over the information, and I did it quickly without my own, not trying to sell. Hey, here's everything I can find on it. He texted me back, you're an amazing, awesome secret agent. Thanks. Okay. It's simple. I'm going to give you one more example, and then I'm going to connect the dots on why this is such a problem for so many real estate agents, real estate salespeople, just real estate in general, the industry in general, why this pushy sales, why we have such a negative reputation. I'll connect the dots on that, and I will, I've got something we're doing next Wednesday that will help you if you're struggling with this. One last story. I had a settlement last Tuesday, or 2 Tuesdays. Yeah, October 28th, I think, with a great couple by the name of Todd and Amy. I've actually known them. I've known them for years and years. I don't remember why exactly. how I met them. But I talked to them about a year ago at this time. They reached out to me. I think Todd, I'm pretty sure Todd DM'd me on Facebook is how this started. And he explained that they had been trying to buy a home for years and just hadn't been able to make it happen. He explained that the agent they were working with, they had grown kind of tired of working with, and I'll explain why in a minute. And they were just frustrated that they kept missing out on properties. And let's face it, the last 2 years, the market has been different, but 2021, 2022, 2023, at least here in Central PA, was still very competitive, very much a seller's market, et cetera. So we have multiple conversations. They essentially broke up with their other agent for two reasons. Number one, he was trying to sell them every deal that they expressed any level of interest in. So anytime they said, this one looks like it could be a good, he was pushing too hard for that one. That's number one. Number two, he was also doing the bare minimum to try and find them a property. He had set up like one MLS notification, and that was it. Like, never reached out, never did anything proactive to demonstrate that he was actually doing work to try and find them a good deal. So I did all of those things. I got them set up. I did some anti-selling strategies like I'm talking about here. Whereas it was never me trying to push them to make a decision or jump on whatever. And over the last, it's really 10 or 12 months, we've occasionally looked at properties. Whether it's a property that I see and I let them know, hey, this one might be worth a look, or I set up strategically a number of different MLS notifications because they had different criteria based upon different areas that were important to them. So we've looked at several properties over this past year, and finally, for them, they found the home that they've been waiting for. It was a new construction home. It just had a massive price reduction, and it ticked off all the boxes. And so it wasn't, at no point did I ever sell them on making an offer or sell them any property. All I did was provide them information, facts, and helpful service until they decided they were ready to jump. And I mean, it was their persistence and their patience paid off because they bought a new construction home and walked into equity on it. They are walking into equity on it. Could I have gotten them to buy another house prior to that? Maybe. Could I have tried to manipulate them or whatever? Use some fancy, oh man, I wish I could remember the phrase that I'm thinking of. It's not subliminal messaging. Maybe somebody in the chat can or in the comments can let me know that the word I'm looking for. That's it's like it's almost like manipulative, a manipulative. Oh my goodness, way manipulative. Oh, I'm not even going to try and say that anymore. Way to overcome objections and like project your ideas and try to make people feel like it was their own. So I was able to help them. They ended up with the best case scenario because they walked into equity and they have a place that they love and their patience paid off. And there were multiple times during that process where they were frustrated and wondering if it would ever work. And I just kept telling them, look, there's no pressure. There's no pressure on my part for you guys to do something. We're going to keep at it until we find the right deal for you. Okay. So when you can take the contrarian approach, and it's not really, some people might use the phrase takeaway selling. That to me is still manipulative. Takeaway selling would be, there's there are, we're one of 10 showings on this property today. It just hit the market. It's probably going to have multiple offers. If you guys are interested, we need to jump on this thing. That's kind of like take a while selling. No, it's not even that. Like that's still selling. I'm talking about literally anti-selling. Taking the opposite approach. Provide information and data, facts, and stories or examples so that that person can make the best, most informed decision for their business. It's the exact same approach I take when I'm talking to other agents who are thinking about joining me and coming over to eXp Realty. I have one later this morning. I don't try to manipulate. I don't try to sell. I try to ask good questions and then provide facts and information and data and examples or stories that help the person make the best, most informed decision for their business. Okay. Now, if you feel like this is something you struggle with, it's probably one of two things, or there are probably two reasons why, and they're very related. You might be desperate. You might be desperate, meaning when you've got this client, you know that they're pre-approved and they're ready, willing, and able, but I need to get paid. I need the money, right? We need, business has been hard. The last 2 years or the lowest amount of home sales, since the mid 90s and all these things. So you may be feeling desperation, and that's why, or where that term commission breath came from. And so that may be weighing on you. Like your desperation may be coming through in your communications with potential clients. And that is most likely a symptom of a bigger problem, which is you don't have enough client flow or deal flow in your business right now. You don't have a deep enough or a wide enough pipeline of opportunities. Because if you did, you wouldn't be desperate to sell to every client that you have in the pipeline. Your goal should be to have a pipeline that is so deep and so wide and so full of opportunities that you get to choose who you work with, that you let them sell themselves on working with you. And what I am going to do this coming Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern is a free training class where I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you my plan for helping you get to 50 closings in 2026 without any kind of ad budget and without having to sell anyone. And I'm going to walk you through that. It's a 3-step plan to do that. And I'll give you the plan on here's step 1, do this, and here's how to do this. Step 2 involves reaching out to the active buyers in your market, the people that are already actively doing business in your market. And the tool that we use and recommend for that is right up there, leaddeck.ai. And then step 3 is once you identify and connect with folks like Seth, folks like Steve, couples like Todd and Amy, the 3 client stories that I shared during this little sermon here, then finding them the right opportunity, whether it's off market, on market, etc. It's not that hard. It does not have to be that hard. It requires consistent, persistent, focused effort in a singular direction. If you want to come and check out that free training class, workshop, you can go to 50in26.com, 50in26.com. It should open a Zoom link for you. You can register for free and check that out. I'm pretty excited to share that. And I'm going to share some of my backstory that I haven't talked about much recently that is incredibly relevant to what has been helping me, close so many deals and do so many transactions, particularly in the last half of 2025. And so I want to unpack all of that for you and share all of what's working on that front. So if you want to sell more homes, take the opposite approach to selling. Just be completely service oriented, focus on facts and data and past examples and stories, and just help your clients and potential clients make the best, most informed decision for themselves and for for their future. Okay. And when you do that, not only is that a better experience for them and you, it also means you don't have to learn some ninja selling techniques or like all of, objection handling or learn some like special language patterns or anything like that. Not only that, for yourself, but for your clients, they will have a better experience, which means they are exponentially more likely to refer you. Because here's the other thing about that. When you use ninja selling techniques or whatever you want to call it, when you use these objection handling, scripting, and stuff like that, you might be able to manipulate someone into making a decision or buying, whether it's real estate sales or others. You might be able to do that, but you're also drastically increasing the likelihood that they will have buyer's remorse or regret or feel a certain way about you and your service. And whether consciously or subconsciously, they will avoid referring you future opportunities. And let's face it, top of the pyramid in this business are the referrals that you get, because referrals are easy. The problem most real estate professionals have, and the reason why many real estate agents are stuck doing a transaction, one a quarter or one every other month, is they only focus on the top of the pyramid, which is referrals, and they're just not enough of those, and they don't have a big base of other opportunities. Okay, when you follow what I just outlined in the last 25 minutes and the examples, etc., you're more likely to get more of those, but you still got to have a big, strong base, a big pipeline of opportunities at the bottom of the pyramid. And that's what I'll unpack on the free class, the free workshop. You can register at 50in26.com, 50in26.com. All right. I hope that was helpful to at least one of you. If that resonated on any level with at least someone in there, give me a thumbs up, maybe drop a comment. And now I'm going to pivot. To digging into comping a difficult property, a property that I had a motivated seller who filled out a form on our site looking for a cash offer yesterday. And in looking at the property, it was just hard for me to figure out what a legit. It was hard for me to find comps on it. So I want to help you with what to do in that situation, because I got to do the work anyway. And if you're watching on the TikTok live stream and you want to see my screen share, which I'm about to share here in a minute, you can go and check it out at Josh Schoenly Coaching on YouTube, Josh Schoenly Coaching on YouTube, or I'm streaming it on Instagram as well. Before I do that, though, Miranda says, I missed the beginning of you talking about script manipulation. Well, here's the good news. As soon as we wrap up the live, you can go back and check it out. Or even in the live stream, you can move it back. You can go back to the beginning and just watch it front to back. But the gist of it is, when you focus on what I call anti-selling, you don't have to be, you don't have to memorize some long detailed script. Now, I use and have scripts and templates to open conversations, but what I'm talking about is objection handling and phrasing and like ninja sales techniques that are taught with the intent of you sort of manipulating or sort of playing mind games with a potential client to get them to make a decision. And that's just, to me, that's just like, that's never worked for me. It's been something that I've always resisted. And I know that there's just a lot of that out there. And it's also a big reason why real estate agents, generally speaking, have a very negative reputation. I'll give you another example. We had settlement with another client this Tuesday, earlier this week. His name is Butch. His actual name is Donald, but he goes by Butch. And I'm going to bring up the review he left me. If I can find it here. Where can I find my reviews? Just go into my Google business profile. Why can't I get to my reviews here? Your business profiles. There we go. And reviews. And let me find Donald's here. I need to go newest. And here, right here. Josh was very professional, honest, and very helpful, and got the job done quickly without a hitch. Best experience I ever had with a realtor. He'll be my first call if I ever need help again. Now, why am I sharing that? Because what he didn't put in there is what he told me in person prior to him leaving that review for me, which actually is the reason why usually I send, this was a month ago. He shared that a month ago. We had settlement this week. Okay. So he wrote that review weeks before we actually had settlement. Here's what prompted me to send him the link to leave me a review. When we had an accepted agreement. Okay. So he was signing, and he was someone, he wanted to sign him in person. Butch's a little old school. Okay. He wanted to sign him in person. So I met with him at a coffee shop, or actually Sheets. We have Sheets. It's a gas chain here in the Mid-Atlantic, like Wawa. I don't know what else. Quick Stop. Anyway, we met there, and I didn't prompt him to say any of this. He started telling me how he was very resistant to work with realtors. He had had a terrible experience with a realtor years ago who was the pushy, manipulative, the typical realtor or used car salesman sort of stereotype that a lot of people have. And because I was the antithesis of that, I was the opposite of that, he was having, like, he was speaking very kindly about me and my service. And that's what prompted me to then send him the link to leave me a Google review, which he did. Okay. So it's an example of, contrarian. When you're the opposite of what the consumer expects, it really stands out, and it can help you close more deals. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do, we're completely switching gears now into more tactical. That was definitely sort of mindset and strategy, and not necessarily specifically tactical, although probably more important than what I'm about to dig into, if I'm being honest. But I've got to do this work anyway, and at some point you'll have to do this work, which is to find and comp or to comp a property that it is hard to find comps on. And this specifically is a motivated seller lead that had opted in or requested a cash offer on his property. But this may come up where you're representing buyers who want to make an offer on a property that's difficult to comp. And so this perfectly, actually, in that scenario, ties into what I was talking about for the first half hour of this live stream, which is use facts and data in helping people make a decision. Okay, so let's find the facts, let's find the data, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that here. A couple of different strategies that we're going to use. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to log into a data provider that I have used for years and been recommending for years. I have lots of training and free content on the Josh Schoenly Coaching YouTube channel with PropStream. The data that PropStream uses is actually the data that we use with LeadDeck.ai. LeadDeck.ai. Same data provider, but this can do some things that can't yet, and vice versa. So let me give you one use case. You can get a free trial with PropStream at growwithjosh.com/PS for PropStream. growwithjosh.com/PS. Also, with any of these sessions, not if you're watching on TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok, you got to go over to one of the other live streams to get the resources in the description. But if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, in the description with the video, there are a bunch of resources. One of them should be the link to get a free trial with PropStream. So I'm going to log in here, and we're going to find the comps for this specific property. Now, one of the reasons why I am using this in this process, PropStream, which I'll in a minute, I'll also log into my MLS. But I started to do some of this work last night, and what I realized is there is very little on-market data or on-market comps for this property, which made me, made me decide, well, I'm going to have to look maybe at off-market data. In other words, properties that sold without being actively listed in the MLS. And then I thought, it's probably good content for the morning live stream, the Closers Cafe. So I'm logged in. What is it? 198 Black Gap Road, I think. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to grab, I think it's this one. Here's another reason why this is an odd scenario, which again, weird stuff comes up all the time in this business. This is a property that is a mobile home with an addition on its owned land. But it's also in a park where there are about half of them are on land that is owned by the owner, and the other half is leased land. So it's just confusing. Regardless, I'm going to demonstrate how we can find useful information for this. Okay. So I'm going to choose this as the subject property. I just want to make sure this is not actually the owner, and this one is not on owned land. So let me try and find, this one might be. Let me try and find the right one. This is it. Here we go. Okay. So this is the owner that reached out to me about his property. So what I'm going to do, I've got his property record card pulled up on my screen, which again, if you're watching on TikTok and you want to see my screen, you can go over to Josh Schoenly Coaching, the YouTube channel, Josh Schoenly Coaching, or you can even watch it on my Instagram. I think we're streaming there as well. So I've got the property card up. I'm going to choose comparables and nearby listings. Comparables and nearby listings. And look at that. I'm still not having a whole lot of success here, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do, by default, when you click on comparables and nearby listings, you can choose public record data, MLS data, or both. Okay, or both. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to adjust some of this criteria. So the lot size, I'm going to go 20,000 to what's a half an acre? No. I'm going to go 15,000 to 30,000. Okay. I'm still only getting the one here. I want it to be 2 to 3 bedrooms. And okay, now I have 0 comps. What do I do now? Two things. Number one, I either have to expand out the distance. So by default, it's a half a mile. I expand it out. Now we've got some more potential comps. Are these actually comparable? I don't know. I mean, they don't really look like it. That's one way. Or I might have to go back more years. Right now, we're going back 12 months. What happens if I go back and we've got 2 years? Now I've got a new construction. That's not comparable either. Man, I'll tell you what, I may be striking out here. I may just be, I may just have egg on my face with this one. I don't know. Let's go to my MLS. Okay. I'm going to go to my MLS and see what else we can find comparable to this. So I'm going to choose residential sale. I'm going to search, and I'm going to pull up the city that it's in. I'm going to just search the whole city. I'm going to leave. I want the coming soon and the actives because that, even though those aren't comps, that does help in getting an idea of what this property is worth. And here's why I'm struggling with this. He's got a drop dead number, and I'm trying to decide whether or not it makes sense for me to go out to make the 45-minute drive to this property if we're like way off on numbers. Okay. So thankfully I realized that I had the wrong postal city input. I'm going to choose pending, and I'm going to choose closed. And I already know that I'm going to have to up the closed window to, I'm going to choose 500 days. I'm going to choose detached. And I'm going to choose the price 0 to 200,000. Because he's throwing out 120, I think, is the number that he's throwing out. Oh, someone sent a rose on TikTok. Look at that. I don't even know what that means, but thank you, Alex Property Group. It's very kind. I'll accept your rose. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully that doesn't mean anything more than meets the eye. Okay. So detached, 0 to 200. I'm going to choose lot size 0.2 to 0.4 because that is approximately the size. And I'm going to start there. I'm going to see what are the results based upon that. Okay. So I've got a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. This actually might be pretty comparable. A 2-bed, 1 bath. This one is pending. So on 0.22 acres. And it was sold at auction. And we don't know exactly what it was sold for. But that one, I think I'm going to select that one because to me that is relevant. This one, is this one relevant? Can I make the case that this one is relevant? 0.25 acres. Sold for 180. I'm gonna leave that one off for now. This is one I had seen last night. This is definitely relevant. This might be the best comp that I have, and it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, built in 1986. It's on 0.36 acres, and it's sold for 105. It's going to be bad news for Eric because I don't see how we're going to get to 120 based upon that. This is not a good comp. It's a 2-story. This is not a good comp, I don't think, because it's not a manufactured. It's a smaller lot. This is not a good comp, I don't think, because we're talking garage. We're talking stick built. It was sold at auction. It was sold at 186. I don't think that's relevant. This one's not very comparable. That one's not very comparable. This one may be comparable. Being sold as is, eating kitchen. I'm actually going to select this one. This one could be a decent comp. And this one's definitely not. This is stick built. Okay, so now I have 3 that I can preview and look at here to have a conversation with Eric, which, do I have time? I might call him while we're still live here. Maybe I'll do that. But the other thing I could do before I do that is I can go back to the MLS, and this one, as I mentioned, this is in a, I don't know, it's a weird situation where there's like, there's mobile homes that are on rented land in this park, and then there are, I don't know if they started subdividing off and selling them off at some point. I've never done a deal in this area. So let me pull up the manufactured and mobiles in that area, even if they're on rented land, because what I can approximate is this is what the home would sell for, and then this is the land value. And the other thing I need to do, which I didn't even do yet, is what's the tax information? What's it assessed at? It's assessed very, very low. Very, very low. Well, assessed value. I mean, that can go a few different ways. Let me do pending and closed, mobile and manufactured. And let's see what we got there. Let's take a look here. This is a 3-2 on rented land. Actually, this is okay. That's a 93. Wow, that's on leased land. Yeah, that's weird. That looks like a stick-built home on leased land. Here's a double wide on leased land. Another double wide, another double wide. I don't know that any of these. Here's one that I saw last night that I thought was actually a good comp, but not good for him, in the sense that this was, man, yeah, this is definitely one that I intended to send him. So I'm going to grab that one. I had found that last night. Okay, so I didn't lose my other ones. Let me keep looking here. I'm almost done. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll call Eric, see if I can get him on the horn here. Oh, boy. Okay, this is one. This was 0.63 acres manufactured, sold for $225, but it's a lot newer. 112, a 321 on leased land. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and call Eric. I'm hoping I can get him to answer. I'm hoping I can get him to answer this morning. If not, you'll, at worst, you'll get to hear my voicemail and the text that I send as well. We'll see. We'll see if I can get him. Ring, ring, ring. Come on, Eric. Here we go. The mailbox is full. That's not good. All right. So here we go. I'm going to text him. Morning, Eric. Just tried to call you and your mailbox is full. I had a couple more questions now that I've had some time to take a look at the comps for your property before I run out there this afternoon. I wanted to just confirm a couple things and share what I'm seeing as far as values and what it might sell for depending on the condition. Give me a buzz when you have a minute. Thanks. You always got to double check when you're talking to text that the words are coming out as they should be. And it looks like it's good to go. So sending that, we'll see what happens. Normally I would just go out there, but it's a little bit of a trek and it's a weird situation and scenario. And he might just be wildly unrealistic. So we'll see. Let me pull this back up here. One other thing that I wanted to note that I saw was, did I see? So he paid $40 for it in 2020. There's definitely some room in it. So his drop dead number to me may not be actual, his actual drop dead number. That's wild how I don't know. Okay, now we've got some spam and scamming going on in the TikTok live. My apologies to those who are legit in here. Let me get you. Can I get this guy? Nope, I don't want that invitation sent. How do I kick this guy out of here? Anybody know that? Well, why does it keep saying invite? I want to, how do I remove somebody? How does that work? I'm not used to going live on TikTok. Eric called back. Hello. Good morning, Eric. How are you? Hey, so good. So I've been looking at some things here this morning to try and get a sense of whether or not we can get to the number that you have in mind. And obviously some of that is dependent upon the condition. But that 120 number, man, I don't know. Just when I'm looking at comps, there's no basement, right? It's a permanent foundation, but no basement. And it's a single wide with an addition. Do you know the age of the original single wide and when the addition was put on? Okay, so 1970 original and the addition in 1979. And how would you describe the condition, like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, actually, I had a house fire here, and the insurance company charged not the insurance, the fire company charged my insurance $110,000.
When was that?
Like 2 years ago.
Gotcha. And you've owned it since like 2020, is that right?
Yeah.
Because what I'm seeing, I'm seeing a 3-bed, 2-bath on 0.36 acres in Fayetteville that sold for 105 earlier this year. A 2-bed, 1-bath on a corner lot, 0.22 acres. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. That one's pending. That one hasn't actually closed yet, but it's pending at 110. So, I mean, is there any wiggle room for you on the 120?
I mean, I would go a little bit, yeah. I mean, I would go a little bit.
Okay.
How much it would be.
Okay. And what time did we say that I was going to pop by today?
I think it was 1:30, I think.
1:30. Okay. All right. 1:30, 1:45. I got 11. Okay. Cool. All right. As long as you think there might be some wiggle room, depending on condition and so forth, I'll come and swing by. And I guess one other thing I'll throw out there. Would you or are you opposed to listing it on the open market if the number is the most important to you?
Yes, I would.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let me come check it out this afternoon. We'll figure out the best path forward from there.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. I'm glad I remembered the handy dandy pivot to a potential listing opportunity, which is, would you be totally opposed to listing it on the open market to get the number that you're looking for? And that is a wonderful way to pivot on conversations where the person had requested a cash offer to start with. Because from what I can tell, the traditional cash offer for his property, we're going to be well under the 120 that he mentioned. But I can make the case that we should use what I call the 7-day stress-free home sale process and program system that I've been using with a lot of my listings, and be able to net him the most possible, the highest market value price with the least amount of hassle, and without having to accept a lower cash offer price from a traditional real estate investor. So what I'm going to do on that appointment, is I'm going to go out. I'm going to take a bunch of pictures. I'm going to, assess the situation in this scenario. And then based upon that, I'm going to present him with at least two options, at most three, at least two, at most three. One of them would be all cash, fast close, no hassle whatsoever. My guess is that's probably going to be between $75,000 and $80,000. The second option I'm going to provide and walk him through is a what I call the 7-day stress-free home sale, which is listing it on the open market, but not the traditional way. And I'm going to share this, and I'm going to wrap up on this concept. I'm going to wrap this session on this concept. I have a settlement that just got scheduled for, am I sharing my screen? Yes. Okay. That just got scheduled. Let me find my pending listings for, I don't know why it only shows one here. I have like 5 pending listings or pending. I guess they're not, I guess a lot of the other ones are not listings. So that's why they're not showing up yet. So this is the property. Jerry came to me. He replied to almost the identical text message that Steve replied to. Would you consider selling your property at street address to a private client of mine? He was very skeptical and somewhat resistant, but I warmed him up over time. I met him for coffee. Eventually, he let me come tour the house. And what he really thought he wanted was a cash offer and, as is, etc. And this is one that I actually was interested in. And I would have done this deal myself. And the number I threw out to him was 123. That was my max allowable offer by the formula that I was using. And he was ready to take that. But I'm licensed, as are most of you watching this. And so I have a fiduciary responsibility when I'm meeting with someone like him. And so I mentioned the fact that, or had felt obligated, I think rightfully so, to present him with an alternative option, which is what I call the 7-day stress-free home sale. And he decided to go that route. And the way I present that is, look, we have this other offer as a backup. Let's see if we can beat that offer on the open market. Give me a weekend and we'll know where we're at. So in 2 days, 2 days of showings, Jerry has a very difficult work schedule. He works a lot of hours and he works third shift, I think. Or it's like part second and then third or something like that. Cause he's got really I don't know, crazy work schedule and he's living there. So we accommodated all of that. We had showings on a Friday night or afternoon and evening, like 2 to 7. We had showings on a Saturday, I think noon to 8 or something like that. And then we negotiated offers and we are settling next Friday, a week from today. And we're settling at over asking price. The list price that we started with this was $150. And the other thing is, this doesn't always work out this way with my 7-day stress-free home sale. But we're over asking. It's as is. It's cash. It's no inspections. So it was the best of all worlds. It was almost $30,000 more. Now the net is not $30,000 net more because the 123 was that was a net number to him. But he's netting, I think, $21,000 more by going this route. And you better believe I'm going to use this and have been using this in my conversations with other sellers. And I will continue to do so. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up and come in for a landing here. A couple of things that would be, that I would be grateful if you check out, and as a way of supporting me and doing these live streams, you can register for free for the training that I am hosting next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. My 3-step plan for 50 closings in 2026 with no ad budget. You could register at 50in26, 50in26.com, 50in26.com. And then, of course, as always, please create your free account and check out and give me feedback on, I forget which way it is, on leaddeck.ai. If this is your first time checking this out, thank you. If this is your whatever time checking this out, thank you. Please hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, do all the fun things. There are a whole bunch of links and resources, best practices, what's working for me, etc., in the description with this video. And hope you all have an amazing weekend. And I'll be back on Monday on all the same channels. Take care. Have a great weekend, and hopefully talk soon.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
All right. So every time you call me, I got to look at that big smiling face on my phone. So I emailed you back, but I thought I'd give you a buzz. That first, it doesn't look like it shows enough money.
That's what I said to him too. And so I'll get a better one. It's the 134 plus either the 34 or the 28. But the way that shows, it doesn't seem that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows. The sale price is 135, but then there's also, his closing costs.
Yeah, it's like 139,400. It was my estimate. I alerted him early this morning that we're probably going to need something that's a little clearer.
Yeah, even because it's a cash thing, even like maybe, I don't know if he has a direct contact at bank, I bank there too. I got direct contacts, for my banking, and they're pretty accommodating.
Yeah.
Maybe they could generate, like a one paragraph or a couple sentence, letter on their letterhead stating that, I forget his name, but he has, funds to,